junior researchers in Livestock Research Institute, belong to the Ministry of Agriculture. And then this is the direct direct information, general information about my country. I access this, that I download the data from SDG tracker, and then in the 2015, this is the information of renewable source using in my country. Then the level is in the 36.88%. Is quite higher compared to than the world. Sorry, is higher compared to the world, only 18.05%. So this is a good step for our country. And then the next one is this is the typical of energy source that we use in our country. Most of our people using oil and coal as energy source, and then gas. Okay, this is the existing law and regulation concerning the subject about the renewable energy in my country. There are a lot of regulation came from capital government or Minister of Finance, also from the investment agency. But I will summary the regulation for you all, guys. That our country is very welcoming all the investor came from all the world to running their business about renewable energy in Indonesia. So our government has some privilege for the investor who want to running the business about renewable energy in Indonesia. One of them is they will reduce the tax corporate income up to 100% during maximum 20 years of the business running. And then for the add-on is 50% for the next 2 years. The long of time they give the reduction is depend on how much the investor invest their money to their business. And then also for the equipment, if the business need import input material from other country, then the Ministry of Finance have a free custom duties for the activities. Okay, next, this is the renewable energy came from water energy in my country. This is quite familiar in my country, and we can find PLTA. PLTA is same with water power generator, spread in most all Indonesian, but the biggest one is PLTA Cirata, located in West Java. And then this is the renewable energy using solar. Is quite familiar too. We find the PLTS or solar power generator in some of location in Indonesia, but the biggest one is PLTS Cirata. It is in the same location with the water power generator, the biggest water generator that I have mentioned before. This is located in Purwakarta, west of Java. So if we look to this picture, this is the Cirata. This is located that I have mentioned. You can find that solar panel has been installed in above the water surface. So the water is using for water power generator, meanwhile for the solar panel used for solar power generator. And then the next one, this is the other renewable that we use wind. And then this is quite new from our country, so there are not much in my. I can find many of PLTB or wind power generator in my country, but most of them, if you can find it, most of them is located in south of Sulawesi. And then the next one, the others renewable energy is biomass or bioenergy. Sorry, bioenergy. I mean, there are several several law about this energy source. Came from Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, Rule Number 12 in 2015. They said that we want to increase the biofuel use as a fossil fuel replacement. Okay, this is for the household. There are still no law about it yet. But for the industry, marine transportation, and then for the power generator, in 2016, we already used for 20% replacement of fossil fuel using biofuel. And then we want to maintain it until by 2025. Meanwhile, for the air transportation, we use biofuel in the 2016 for about 2%, and we want to increase it up to 30%, and then by 2020, and increase again at up to minimum 5% by 2025. And biofuel that we discussed in this presentation is according to Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, biofuel is a product which produced from plant or plant waste, through fermentation or mechanically. So the product is not specific. It can be ethanol, it can be methanol, it can be other form of alcohol. And then the next one is the other one is bioethanol. In the same regulation, bioethanol, or we also known as E100%, 100. Bioethanol is ethanol. So we want to produce ethanol as an energy source, which produced from natural material or other biomass. Commonly, we use biomass or natural material that contain high carbohydrate or high starch or high glucose, and then we process it using biotechnology. For the regulation from household and personal need, there is still no regulation about it. But for the non-public transportation and industry, we already use in minimum 5% bioethanol to replace the fossil fuel, and we plan to increase for minimum 10% by 2020 and 20% by 2025. Meanwhile, for small business, fisheries, agriculture, and public transportation, we want to increase the level of use bioethanol as fossil fuel replacement up to minimum 5% in by 2020, and increase again for 5 times in 2025 compared to 2020. Okay, and then the next one is biodiesel. Biodiesel is quite popular in my country, and we know it as B100. And biodiesel is a fatty acid of methyl ester, FAME, or monoester, which produced from natural material or other biomass. Commonly, we use biomass that contain high oil or fat, and we process the biomass to produce the biodiesel through esterification. And then for the household and personal need, there is still no law about it. But for the small business, fisheries, agriculture, public transportation, and non-public transportation industry, we already used for 20% in 2016, and we plan to increase it by 2020 in minimum 30% replacement, and then we want to maintain it until 2025. Meanwhile, for power generator, we have already using biodiesel in a level 30% in 2016, and the government plan to maintain the minimum number until 2025. This is quite familiar regulation. We call in Indonesia is from B20 into B30. It means that we want to change. Government want to change the level of biodiesel use in fossil fuel replacement from 20% to into 30% in the first 2020. Next, this is the small idea that I get from Indonesian condition. Indonesian commonly use castor oil or palm oil to reduce biodiesel. When we produce the palm oil, but commonly we use palm oil because you can find many oil palm plantation in Indonesia, especially in Kalimantan Island or in Sumatra Island. And then if we produce the palm oil from the palm kernel, we will get the byproduct or residual product from that activity. We call it as palm kernel meal PKC or palm kernel cake PKM. Sorry, I get twice it. And then both of the stuff is potentially used as a feed for livestock. So from the residual activity to produce the biodiesel, we can produce the feed for livestock. And then from the livestock activity, we will get the manure, dung, or feces, and we will use the manure, dung, or feces as an input for biogas. Meanwhile, I choose the small biogas. Why I choose the small biogas in this concept? Because if we look to Indonesian, if we look to Indonesian condition, according to Indonesian Statistic Agency, they report that for about 32.9% of total population in Indonesia work in agriculture, forestry, and fisheries, and commonly in agriculture. So, and the characteristic of the farmer in Indonesia is a smallholder farmer. It means they only have a small number animal. It can be 1, 2, or 3. So this is very small. If we install a huge system biogas, then it will not suitable for our country. So I choose this small or simple biogas system to make it suitable for our condition. And then from the biogas activity, we will produce, residual, we will get the residual substrate. It can be liquid or it can be solid. For the liquid, we can use it as a liquid organic fertilizer. Also from the solid, we can use it as organic fertilizer for agriculture. So for this system, I think we can minimize the number of carbon release into the atmosphere, and it really helped us to reduce the potential global warming. That's all for me. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Augustine, for your wonderful presentation. So, are there any questions? Any question from audience? Okay, so now our second country reporter is Mr. Harmawan. Mr. Harmawan.
Okay, I would like to share my screen.
Okay, sure, please.
Have you been seen my presentation?
Yeah, we can see clearly.
Okay, thank you. Okay, everyone, good afternoon. I'm Hermawan Febriansyah. I'm researcher from National Standardization Agency of Indonesia, or Badan Standarisasi Nasional. It's a national standardization body representing from Indonesia. Now I would like to present my sharing for climate and energy country report of Indonesia. I just maybe fulfill my completely. I will share other my insight than before from Miss Agustin. Yeah, maybe I will tell you before. Indonesia is one country in the Southeast Asia. We have many islands. You can see here. We have 5 big islands from west to east. Now, current population in Indonesia about 270 millions, and average population growth 1% per annum, and then annual GDP more than $1 billion. And we have climate tropical, hot, humidity more moderate in highland. And as you know, because we are in Pacific Ring of Fire, so we have many climate hazard like food, tsunamis, earthquake, volcanoes, and others. But now we have current issue in environment like deforestation, water pollution, air pollution, smoke, and haze from forest fires. Indonesia have a commitment to reduce the emission from greenhouse gases, especially from energy sector. We have a target to reduce in 2030. It's about 11% from the finished assets as well. As you see in the table here, energy contribute the one of biggest among 5 sectors. Indonesia current progress of climate action now, because Indonesia is a member of G20, I compared to others country and G20 average from GHG emission, Indonesia is about 5.76 ton CO2 equivalent per capita. Then G20 countries average is about 7.32. Is you can see Indonesia is lower than G20 countries. Then, but for tracking to 1.5 degrees Celsius what in Paris Agreement, we can see that we have a gap to reach the target to reduce the emission. If we look to the data in climate action tracker, in 2017 the emission in Indonesia is about 889, but to reduce to 622 million tons CO2 equivalent in 2030, we have to reduce the gap, and we can see energy is the one sector contribute to the GHG emission. Related to energy sector, Indonesia may have a problem to some sector, industrial power sector and transportation sector is are the biggest contribution to emission to Indonesia. If we look to energy mix, we can see that as presenter tell before, fossil fuel is dominant to energy mix in Indonesia. It's about 66% fossil fuels contribute to primary energy in Indonesia. Renewable is only about 15%, include hydropower. And we can see in the last update I have obtained from Ministry of Energy, we can see that primary energy from renewable energy is still low in 2019, and if we look to the target to 2025, renewable energy for primary energy mix in Indonesia targeted to 23%. It's very hard maybe to reach because we need to concern about the friendly infestation to Indonesia. And we can see solar, wind, geothermal, and biomass development in Indonesia. 14.6 come from geothermal and biomass, and the rest is the biggest is from hydropower. And about electricity mix, we can see that coal and lignite is dominant in electricity in Indonesia. We can see that coal and lignite contribute for 63%, and the renewables only 12%. And the transportation, as the presenter told before, we concern to substitute oil to biofuels. In 2019, we have biofuels contribute for 6.2%, and oil is very still high, but we optimistic that biofuel will contribute more in the future. And we can see in the roadmap of biofuel substitute to oil, in 2035, we will have about 17.8 million kiloliters of biofuel. And we can see in the history data, when we implement biofuel, we can reduce the import diesel oil rapidly. We can see from in the year from 2014 to last year to 2019, very sharp decline of the imported diesel oil. But for gasoline and others, we have still import because we haven't used biofuel to gasoline. We some years ago, we have a plan to implement ethanol, but because we need subsidize to implement ethanol, we haven't continued the program. Because for biodiesel we can get subsidized from palm oil export. And then we can see five region in Indonesia with the biggest energy supply. We can see that Java, Bali, or the center of Indonesia is the largest supply, because we have they are high demand of energy. And we can see that in the Java, Bali, mostly came from coal, and the rest is oil and gas. And we can see the energy demand sector mostly came from transportation, industry, and household. And this is carbon intensity of energy sector. If we look to energy data, we can see that Indonesia is lower than G20 average, but the trend is maybe so not too good, because we looked at the data. Indonesia is going to reach the carbon city. This that I tell before, fossil fuel subsidies is highly in some years ago, but in the 5 years ago we can reduce the subsidies to energy, and the subsidies used to electricity, petroleum, and coal. Electricity and petroleum is very high, because our country is trying to make the economy stable. So the full the electricity price is still in the fixed price. And the recent development and recommendation in the last regulation from Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources number 4 in 2020, simplify the renewable power generation regulation, because we try to reach the target in 2025 for 23% came from renewable energy. And this is one of largest solar panel. I think this the claim from Coca-Cola Methyl, company, drink beverage company. They have largest solar rooftop in their facilities in Indonesia. Is about 9.6 million kilowatt hours and cover up to 72,000 millimeter square. And this is the big installation for geothermal. We have installation in Java. It's about 377 megawatts. And then we have also have Cirata hydropower that presenter tell before. It's about now installed in 1 gigawatt. Then Cirata we have planned to install floating solar PV. It's about 145 megawatts. And this is the climate vulnerability in Indonesia, because climate change in West Java and Jakarta have climate impact about the flood, landslides. And then we can see the temperature in Indonesia, the trend is risk in 20 years. In 20 years, it's about 0.4 degrees Celsius average. And then sea level rise, we can see that in the some coast in the island in Indonesia, the trend is come to rise in the sea level. And then we can see that last years we have a flood, a very big flood in the central Jakarta. Is about 66 in the fall as of January 6 lost and Semarang and forest fires. I think that's all, Mr. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your clean and clear, crystal clear presentation. Thank you so much again. And are there any questions from audience? Any question? Okay, Michael, you may present tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow also the session about you, so you may present tomorrow. And that's it. Okay, I would like to say you goodbye for today, and see you tomorrow.